Good evening, all. Welcome to round six. Tonight we are racing at Sebring for the CXR Season 4 in the GTEs. Round six. So, 2 rounds to go after tonight. As usual, joined with my guys, Phil McDougall, one job, and Ruben, I like pronouncing R's with a roll. Got his name, Schultz, isn't it? Good evening, guys.
Good evening. What an introduction.
Evening, stats man.
Oh, it's bloody hot. On track, off track. Oh,
Yep.
I'm absolutely melting. But enough of the heat. So, very quick track tonight, but a very unforgiving track. Starting off quali shortly in the amateurs. Just an update on the table, very briefly. Santa Bio's currently romping away with a 23-point lead on 112 points. Kieran Smart currently second with 89. And then we got joint third is Matt Acton and Daniel Sedgley, both on 79. The only other person realistically with a chance at this point to finish in the top three is Carlos Ruiz on 71. So Santa Bio's got a comfortable lead. He's won 2 races out of the 5 we've already done and comes second in another 2. So all to play for the others there if they want to stop him running away with this. Ruben, have you been keeping an eye on him practice and time-wise and things like that?
No, I've just been sleeping.
Oh, well, there's a surprise.
Now, looking at the lap times, we saw a lot of 57, 58s. So it seems to be that really at the front, but then we're talking about the pros. We got maybe 2-3 drivers who probably will get themselves from the following cars, but I really do think that we're gonna have quite a close group of cars together. Like you said yourself, it's a difficult track, a lot of bumps. You really have to adjust your setup to it. But yeah, I think it's gonna be close. Like I said, a lot of 57, 58s. Some people were in the 59s, and I think I saw a 2-minute or a 2:01. So some seem to really struggle on this track, but yeah, apart from that, I think it's overall it's going to be close.
Excellent stuff. So Phil's nice and cool with his AC blowing away. Whilst the rest of us are all melting.
I'm freezing in here.
Yeah, I'll bet. Hard life, isn't it? I wonder if these cars have AC in them. I doubt it. Yeah, I suspect it's mildly warm in there too if they were racing in real life.
Yeah, I think it'd be well over the 40-degree mark if they are racing in these cars in real life. It's probably way over 40 degrees in their actual sim rooms right now as well, though. So, especially if you're wearing a VR headset.
Do we have any camera feeds tonight to watch him melting before our eyes?
I think tonight we will call them the sweat cams, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we got Chris Needham in the sweat cam there.
Hey, and he's got gloves on. Oh my god, that's proper hardcore in this weather.
Wearing his
So
team
obviously,
shirt.
for those of you who don't know, England traditionally isn't a particularly warm country, but for today it's our one day of summer of the year, and it is pretty hot, 30 degrees apparently today. What's it like in the old Amsterdam area? Oh no, you're not from Amsterdam, are you? Holland, same thing, isn't it? What's it like down your end of the world?
Are you going to swear on live stream, mate?
Ah, you love it.
You're swearing on live stream. Nah, it's, I think today we topped about 32 degrees or
Yeah,
something.
well, it's even more toasty.
Yeah, well, the last couple of years it's been toasty here every summer. I mean, we noticed the difference, but it's not a nice kind of toasty, but it is what it is. We got to deal with it. I'm just glad I'm not in the car tonight and that I did it this weekend. Because, yeah, I would definitely be splitting my balls off, but it is what it is. Chris Needham, but I must say, you said about the gloves. Even in these warm conditions, wearing gloves while sim racing is definitely a better thing to do than not wearing gloves.
What, because of the sweatiness of gripping and stuff? Or?
Yeah. I
Just 'cause you like to be
prefer
warm.
wearing my gloves as well, even though it's...
You're wearing your gloves
32.
and you're commentating. That's rather disturbing.
Yeah.
That's hardcore. That is absolutely
hardcore,
hardcore.
man.
I'm not having good
I'm
images.
even watching the session in VR, so I mean...
Oh, don't.
But I don't got the pressure of racing.
I don't know what you
No,
complain
no,
about.
no.
It's only
Have
it's
you got
only
your
a
tissues
mild
next to you?
only a mild 21 degrees in my room.
Oh.
Should we
Hard life, isn't it?
should we just? I think can we kick Phil? Can we kick him?
Well, we
Just-
can kick
I
him
mean-
if you like. Got long feet.
No.
So anyway, apart from us three taking the Michael out of each other all night, we've also got race control with us. The boys in there tonight, I think, are the usual crowd, which is Craig, Aaron, and Neil.
Tonight, for what I can see, we only got Aaron and Neil.
Craig's done a runner then, has he? He's probably too hot. So, hello, boys, and hopefully you don't be too busy in race control tonight. So, quali is underway. The guys are just set in, I think now must be their first proper laps by the looks of it, as the times are going up on the board. Currently, the leader is Daniel Sedgley with a 1:58 dead, with Kieran Smart just behind. So, we'll start seeing them times, no doubt, tumbling. I'm trying to remember, I've forgotten already. Is it 10 minutes, is it, for amateur quali?
Yep, 10 minutes for each.
And then there's the gap, and then the pros go out for their session.
Yeah, so we've got that 5-minute gap. So people, when they start their lap at like 9:58, they can get their lap done, finish exactly,
So
and that you don't get the overlap.
in reality, they're going to get 4 flying laps in if they've gone straight out on the buzzer then. Assuming their first lap's obviously not too slow. So we'll see. See what happens as we pan out. Evening, Kieran. Hope you're well.
It does seem that Kieran Smart seems to be struggling a little bit on his qualifying. He was doing a 1:57.5 in practice session just before. He's currently on a 1:58.2. The same goes for Benjamin Johnson. He did a 1:57.5 as well in practice, and he's now on a 1:58.6. The only two who really seem to improve, looking at their practice lap times, are Daniel Sedgley and Matt Acton. They both are about half a second quicker than what they were in practice.
Oh, just seen
A big spin there
spin
from
there by
Kieran
Kieran
Smart.
Smart. Commentator's curse there.
I'm sorry, Kieran. I'm sorry.
So the only advantage is the amateurs can go back in the pit and come out, whereas in the pro quali they can't. So there is time for Kieran to pop back in if he's very quick and try and squeeze out another competitive lap before the clock finishes. So it puts a little bit of extra pressure on the pros that they're not able to do that. So Ben Johnson putting in a quick lap at the moment.
And my fellow countryman René Borsje.
Okay, just as you say that, Ben Johnson does indeed go fastest with a 1:57.6.
René still has to put his lap time in as well. He still hasn't got or found a lap to put in. But yeah, it's and while I was gonna say it, it's Juan Manuel Santabaya putting in P2, current P2, with a 1:57.9. So still a gap of about 0.3 of a second to Benjamin Johnson.
So the man in form on the last 2 races is actually Ben Johnson, who's had a first and a second. So after a dodgy start to the season, he's found a little bit of form. So there's an outside possibility he can get into a podium, but I think, or I suspect, that the championship is Santabaya's to lose at this stage. But we saw some weird stuff happen at the end of last season when there was a bit of pressure on in the pros. Similar sort of position, and yeah, all went a bit Pete Tong. So 2 rounds left after tonight. Round 7 next week is at Monza, probably arguably one of the best circuits about, and a nice night race to finish up in Daytona. So
That's the fake Italian.
fake Italian, dear Lord. Okay, Englishman.
Tifosi sat over there, wherever you are in Brighton, is it?
In an empty stadium. Oh, dear Lord.
Pablo went a little bit faster, but now he's just slowed up. We're on board. with Miles Owens as he completes his lap. No, he doesn't. He comes into the pits. Yeah, because that is now the end of qualifying. Just trying to look for whoever manages or who actually still on a lap. Rene Boschke is still on a lap, so
I think Santabayo is as well. I think most of the crew have gone into the pits. Jason Hansen could be out as well at the moment on track still. So who's that pulling up? That's Rene Borscher, isn't it?
Well, in the end, Rene puts a lap time in with a 2-minute flat .2. Quite good that he's only 9 thousandths of a second slower than his lap in practice. So pretty much seemed to copy his lap from practice session. But he is about 3 seconds off of P1. So yeah, he seems to be struggling, as well as Jason Hamilton and Jonas Gillis. But Benjamin Johnson on pole for the amateurs.
we're just waiting for the pros to ready up. They'll get going in the next, 3 minutes time. They get to qualify. Mark, do you want to give us the rundown on the old championship for the pros?
For the pros, I can, of course. Anything for you, young Phil. Right.
Why, thank you.
Tonight, it's a 2-horse race currently in the championship between Ismael Martel and Andres Fernandez, 3 points separating them. However, I believe Martel, for circumstances beyond his control, is not racing tonight. So firmly puts the onus on Fernandez, if he gets a good result here, to give him a significant advantage and take the lead for the first time in the championship. Morgan Thompson's currently sitting in third on 76 points, 40 points behind. So it does look like the championship's a 2-horse race. And to be honest, the third place is a toss-up between Morgan Thompson and Tony Blanco, because there's only a point between them. We've seen quite consistently so far, first 5 rounds, that Martel and Fernandez are, in fair to say, a league ahead of the rest of the field, time-wise.
Yeah, they're almost like pros.
Yeah.
If you can
There's
call
so many
them
bands.
that. Yeah.
I mean, the guys by no means, the other pros are slow. They're not. They're very quick, but these guys are just that little extra 3% sort of level next stage, isn't it? But they've had some fantastic racing this year, and between them, they've either won or come second in every round. So just shows you the strength of those two. So it'll be up to the rest of the field to put a bit of pressure on Fernandez, but a good result here will set him up good for the championship. That's it, pros. Just looking down, I was just looking down the list really. There's a fair bit of much of a muchness really, so it's more of a sort of a dead cert in the amateurs, in the pros than it is in the amateurs at the moment. So see how that pans out.
1 more minute before the pros go out to qualify. Should we take some bets on who's going to be in the top 3 on the qualifying?
Ooh, well, you might as well just say he's going to be second and third, isn't it? Look at the practice time. So I think Blanco and Thompson are obviously going to be up there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't.
Fernandez will probably be, I'm guessing, a second quicker, half second to a second quicker.
I wouldn't discount Ed Lack as well. He hooked up a few good laps in the practice session. So
yeah, I mean Ed Lack he's had a bit of a mixed bag, hasn't he? He's had some strong qualifying, but not fulfilled his race.
As long as he's not lacking anything.
Oh, God. Is it coming up for Christmas again? Is it?
It must be.
Jokes for the crackers, are you? Dear God.
He's getting all the jokes out right now.
Yeah. Just wheel about. We'll start on the yellow hello jokes in a minute if you're not careful.
I think it's just a temp that's getting in my head. But yeah,
it's the heat.
Edward, and remembering from driving here before, Edward really likes this track. I'm seeing that our fellow teammate Ben, who's watching, says the same thing. So yeah, I wouldn't count out Edward Leck tonight for a podium position. I must say, for a win, if nothing happens, yeah, I think Fernandez will be the one that's driving away. But yeah, maybe Morgan Thompson. think we'll have to wait and see how it will go.
So, just looking at the comments there whilst we're jabbering away, any hints on next season yet? I did sort of advise try racing a bit faster and smarter, but I'm not sure that's what he meant. But...
I guess the only thing I can lay out the bag right now is there will be a next season. So, yeah.
But it's early days yet. I think next week we'll probably aim to have something penciled in, maybe, if you boys behave.
Yeah, so hopefully I can start releasing something a bit next week, and yeah, we can get something underway for sign-ups.
Hey, don't just looking at the comments there, crappy jokes as well. I know we don't fail to disappoint, do we? I'll give you some football scores as well if you really want. You know,
if I know Ben, he will not like the football scores. Or
well, in that case, I'm going to tell him. Let's have a look. So Man United won 3-0 earlier on.
Wait, Ben's coming with his own jokes.
Oh dear, got to be a HPD league. What? Oh, is that the class of thingy in it? So, just for Ben then, Man United won 3-0 against Sheffield United. Newcastle drew 1-1 with Aston Villa. Norwich lost 1-0 at home to Everton. And Wolves beat Bournemouth 1-0.
What, are we like the BBC now?
Yes.
Oh, Liverpool have just scored, everybody.
Have they?
Yes.
Bastards. Who scored?
I have no idea.
Is Salah playing? He better be. He's in my fantasy football team. I can't afford to have him dropping again.
He is playing, I believe.
Hashtag live score, get it right. Have they really scored?
Yep, just scored now.
Oh, fuck. That's Trent Arnold, isn't it? Oh, no! He's not in my team. God damn it. Yes.
Right, the pros are qualifying, guys.
Yeah, but they haven't put lap in yet. What's the excitement? Right, so right on cue, Ben Johnson has the fastest time at the moment. That's interesting. 2, 4, 6, 7 of them in the pit. Is that right? I'm confused.
No, no one's. I don't believe anyone's in the pits from the pro. Everyone's out on track.
Ah, that's interesting. Your screenshot saying, your leaderboard, or whatever you want to call it, timing screen says that there's 7 of them in the pit.
That's because they're all amateur drivers. At least marks with the program after 6 rounds.
This is what happens when it's too hot. Benny's absolutely right. It's too bloody hot, and it's 2 O's in 2 as well, by the way. It is boiling. Yes, well spotted, Phil. Love you too. Wrong leaderboard, yes, I gathered. Thank you, Ben.
What you reckon is the best car since all the updates
Ferrari.
for this track?
Definitely not the Ferrari.
I'll ask Phil.
I mean, after all, the Ford is started to come on leaps and bounds again. We're going to see, Fernandez go straight into P1. With his first lap as well.
Martel's in the Porsche, wasn't he?
Yeah, Martel was in the Porsche as well. Porsche's been quite strong, quite a consistent car as well over a long distance. And then the Beamer's kind of slipped back again, so which is a bit disappointing, really.
Do you think they've nerfed it then, in the sense of, obviously it was very popular at the start and dominating everything heavily when it came out, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, they got to sell them somehow.
Yeah. Or are you saying this, suggesting it's a bit of a conspiracy there when the new car comes out?
No conspiracy theories from me.
Are you saying that about the new BMW GT4? Hint, hint.
Well, no, because I mean, I've been racing the IMSA Pilot Series this season, and they've all been quite far back. So.
Oh, have they? Oh,
yeah. Cheers for the subscription there, Dennis Meisner. Thank you very much. Hope you had a good race today.
Cheers, boy. No, Mark, I think they always, during a whole year, they even it out eventually with the cars.
Yeah, I presume they just do it on the balance of data from races. So many races, I expect, and they look at maybe a mean average or something, try and balance it to suit. I suppose in the real world as well, because I think when I was watching some of the endurance racing, the GTEs, the Fezzer was like mid-table at best in a massive field, and it was I think it was actually the Porsches that were sort of way out front all the time.
Yeah, the Porsches were quite strong a few years ago. Well, still are. We'll have to see this coming September when the Le Mans race actually gets to be completed or ran.
It hasn't been cancelled or anything then at this point.
I don't believe so, no, and as Kieran says, only 39 days until British Touring Cars as well returns.
So they've confirmed all that, have they? Oh, okay, because I'm saying that the British Touring Cars would have started ages ago, wouldn't it? Think about it. It normally starts Easter weekend, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Going back to qualifying, we see currently Fernandez being on pole position with a 156.6, but we just saw Edward Leck doing a 157.3 in the meantime. Tony Blanco puts in a 157.2, so it's still Benjamin Johnson, the leading M driver for tonight at least, and qualifying is overall on P2 with, say, 5 pro drivers behind him. Of course, we still have some minutes to go, but it is quite interesting again to see that at least one amateur driver seems to be able to be around the same
Mix
pace.
it with the best,
yeah, exactly.
Well, it's interesting. They've obviously got this lap plus another probably before they run out of time, so a little bit of pressure.
And there we see Duncan Kirby in the sweat cam.
Looks like he's in a prison jumpsuit. Oh no, I suppose that'd be orange, wouldn't it? I tell you what, that's going to they're going to be perspiring some tonight, those boys. I'll take my virtual hat off to them. Who should we go on board? Should we go on board someone quickly?
Bit of cockpit action.
Yeah, why not? We haven't done that for a little while, have we? Who are we on board with, Enfield?
We're on board with Marco Prado at the moment. Currently starting P11 in pros.
Yeah, he did a 159.5, so if he wants to mix himself with in the top 10, he needs to be able to drive, I reckon, a 157 high at least, so he's still got about 2 seconds to find.
So, is there any particular corners to be wary of on this one? I know that last sort of long hairpin is quite quick, but it can catch you out. You go a little bit too hot, you sometimes don't make it out the other end before the start finish, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first corner is always crucial, but also at the start of the race as well, it's going to be even more crucial when you're going side by side with people, so you don't really want to be making any mistakes there. But yeah, Sunset Corner at the very end of the circuit, very bumpy on the inside of the track, so you really do have to kind of play your lines and see which one kind of works out for your car and your car setup. Because yeah, the slightest bounce at the back of the car is just going to make you spin around. So that's one to look out for. Also, I think it's the corner they're coming up to now. No. Actually, yes, you can lock up the Porsche quite easy there on the inside. Let's see. Bring up a quick track map. Is at the corner that I mentioned. Nobody is at the corner that I mentioned. So that works out well.
You want to follow them through?
I think it's Fernandez is going to be the first one that after he's finished going through the bumpy section at Sunset. So we'll stay on board with him as he goes for his final lap. Yeah, look at that. Cracking lap from Benjamin Johnson. Puts himself P2. As Fernandez doesn't actually go for another lap. He's quite happy sat there in P1 with a 56.1. Morgan Thompson goes up to P5 with a 157.5. Caballero just went into P6 and then got taken over by Jamie Fierro. So
Edward Lack managed to sneak second there on the line as well.
Yeah.
That's a cracking. That's the highest amateur qualification so far in this series. Guaranteed. Who's out at the moment? 3 cars, is it? So Guaranteed no worse than 5th, I think.
Oh, spinner, Morgan Thompson going round with his bright pink wheels that he swears that to me that he changed them before the race, but somehow they're still there. So
Right.
Different shade. Someone needs to be promoted to pro class. Well, poor old Phil has the enviable task, or inenviable task.
Well,
whichever way you
it's
want to
it's
look at it.
Edward Leck who's put himself into P2 with a 156.8. That puts Benjamin Johnson into P3 overall. What?
I said that 20 minutes ago. What's up with you?
It's still what?
Hey, what? I woken up. Oh, dear. It's the heat.
It is.
Caballero.
See how many heat jokes we can get in tonight.
yeah, Caballero just making a mistake there, just going onto the back straight. So it isn't going to put in another fast lap. Jamie Ferrer might.
I think he's going to improve his E4 yellow sectors.
Yeah, that is true. He has gone green in what 2 sectors, so you never know. If it's just a minute round. There you go. He snatches one position, just goes just in front of Morgan Thompson, so puts himself into P5 in pro category.
So I don't think any of us predicted that on the quali. Ben Johnson finishing 3rd,
We did, yeah.
which is ironically a dead heat time with Tony Blanco as well. Just looking at the timing screen.
Yeah, it's about 0.003 of seconds, so it's close.
There's no O's in 2 from Yorkshire. Oh dear.
Waiting for the results to come through of the qualifying, and then I'll get them up on screen for everybody. As the flag man still waving his flag, no one's on track, but he's still giving it
Very
some with that.
enthusiastic.
Yeah,
you like
that's-
that?
So yeah, we'll go through with the pros first.
Okay, so Andros Fernandez currently on pole, 156.16. Edward Lack in 2nd, 6 tenths behind. Tony Blanco 3rd, Agustin Blanco 4th, Jamie Fierro 5th, Morgan Thompson 6th, Jose Caballero, yes that's right, 7th. Benitez
Ramos Benitez.
is it the other way around? For some reason. 8th, Adam Southgate 9th, Duncan Kirby 10th, Marco Suazo in 11th, and Hele Hogland in 12th.
Happened there. Sorry, wrong button. There we go.
Now we're gonna look at the AM qualifying results. So we've got Ben Johnson on P1, Chris Needham on P2, Juan Santabaya P3, Daniel Setchley P4, Matt Exton P5, Kieran Smart P6, Matthew Hodges P7, Miles Owens P8, Pablo Prado P9, Daniel Merchant P10, Tim Rutten P11, Ben Charlton P12, René Bosche P13, Jason Headington P14, Jonas Gillis P15, Dennis Meisner P16, and in P17 we got Yuri Pepijn Evers.
Go, we're just waiting for everybody to start gridding up. I believe they now have done. Nice little look at the cars from the back of the pacing car.
Good evening, Wyness.
So, quick bet time before they kick off. Who are we going for?
Yeah, well, for the overall win, yeah, I'm going to stick with Andres Fernandez. Just looking at his overall pace tonight, and with his main rival, Marcel, not being here tonight, I reckon he's got a good one. But, yeah, I mean, that's just for the win. I'm really looking forward to the battle between Edward Lag, Tony Blanco, and Augustin Vera Blanco. Of course, Benjamin Johnson is still in the mix there as well. The question is, what kind of pace will he be able to set during the whole race, as he's the current AM pole position person. So I mean, yeah, it's quite interesting to see what he can do in the race. For the actual AM, yeah, with his qualifying and his pace that he showed tonight, I reckon it's going to be Benjamin Johnson.
Ooh.
I'm thinking I'd like to see Jamie Farrow have a good race this week. So you never know, might sneak into a podium position. Tony Blanco, I don't think we've seen in a podium position all season yet. Could be wrong there. But yes, a good starting place for him. Currently starting in P3 in pros. Ed Lack, I'd like to see Ed Lack stay in the podium positions. Hopefully take some fight to Fernandez as well. You just never know, I guess. Chris Needham currently starting in P2 in the amateur class, so another one that you would hope to stay in there. Well, obviously you got a lot of Santa Bea fans in here as well normally. Currently starting in P3 and AMS, so another good. There should be some good battles. I just hope everyone gets around the first corner safely and nice, and then we can have a good race. I'd like to see no yellows being flown, but
Being flown. Ooh.
thrown.
I'm not sure what the correct adjective is for that. But,
Technically, they are flying if they come out. So yeah.
So, pace car coming round. I assume it's not a full lap, is it?
Yeah, no, it's a full lap. It is a full lap.
Oh,
yep.
lordy. I don't get my head round why some tracks are like a third of a lap or half a lap, and then others are a lap.
Depends on the rage. Depends on the rage in our racing. The newer tracks only have normally half a lap or thrown.
Oh,
yeah,
it's thrown. There you go.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with flown though. Well, that's coming from a guy who says y'all, so
A y'all? Oh no.
mixing his words together, so
Butchering the Queen's English, can't have that, can we? That's what we got Rude on board. Equal opportunities and all that.
So we're coming around the last turn right here.
Pace car should disappear very shortly.
And it's up to Fernandez.
To hit the hammer.
Yes, exactly. And there we go, we're on the way, but it seems that Edward Leg is calling out. Ooh. Edward Leg is on the outside, Fernandez on the inside, but he is currently in front, although Edward Leg goes a little bit too wide there. And Fernandez seems to be able to grab P1 back, but it's Benjamin Johnson now on the inside of Edward Leg into turn 2. Oh, and I'm really sorry to say, Phil, but I think Guami Fierro just a little offset there on the back.
And it looks like Caballero has also spun around now as well, so...
Oh, someone's just see that. Pretty good. Oh, blimey, we need subtitles for that.
What?
I'm reading comments, that's right.
Yeah.
So at least, in theory, everyone made it around the first corner by the looks of it. But, oh dear. So race control will no doubt have a look at
yeah, it seems like that. It seemed like that Fierro had a little bit of a tap on the back before breaking into turn 2. But like you say, it's something that race control will look into. Currently, it's Fernandez indeed leading the way, and due to Edward Leg going wide into turn 1, he got overtaken by Benjamin Johnson, the AM leader, who's currently overall in P2.
Yeah, and he's already built a nice lead, nearly 2 seconds ahead of Edward Lack. So make hay while the sun shines, so to say. Meanwhile, the rest is starting to group behind quite tightly, so no doubt we'll see a little bit of overtaking. Nice wide track this one, so hopefully we'll see some good manoeuvres. So Blanco just going up ahead of Morgan Thompson. They're fighting tooth and nail. Mr. Thompson takes it back. Edward Lacker's just... Did Ben Johnson have an issue there, then?
I didn't see him have an issue. I don't think he
Ben
went
Johnson,
off track.
I think, has got a problem. He's down into fourth all of a sudden.
Well, he's still in first in the amateur class, so that's kind of all that matters really for him and his race.
Oh, someone's just gone wide down into the wall.
Would have been Tim Rutten slipping back.
Yeah. Is it Hutton? How do you pronounce that, Ruben?
Rutte.
Thank you. There's only one man who can roll his R's properly. Just having a look at a little replay at the start there. Yeah, it looks like it was just a little bit of a stronger tap than you would expect.
Yeah, I think he's lucky that there's a little bit of tarmac to really stop the car while being on the brakes, as the cross on iRacing is like ice. But it's unfortunate. And this was the spin from who again?
That was Dennis Meisner.
Alright. Some
Tim
people just losing it on the road.
Hello, what's going on there? The tyre's still a little bit too cold, maybe. Catching a few people out. Kieran going the country route.
Right, let's go back to the live action. Looks like Ben Charlton just overtook Jason Haddington for P8 in the amateur class. Adam Southgate having a decent battle with Benitez for P6 in pro class. And Benitez gets around on the inside at Sunset Corner. And now he's just got Ben Johnson just in front of him in the amateur class with Tony Blanco as well in P5. So
Andres Fernandez is just set the fastest lap, very good 157.49. Currently over a second quicker.
Oh wow, and there was Daniel Setsi with a 159.664, the fastest AM lap of this race so far. So he really seems to be pushing to get those positions in. He's in a nice little train, all together with Santobaya, Prado, himself, Chris Needham and Miles Owens. But it's a nice little group of cars, all battling for P2 in the AMs. In the meantime, we also have a nice battle between Edward Leck and I think that's Tony Blanco, if I'm right, Morgan Thompson for P2 in the pros. Actually, it's Morgan Thompson now on the outside of Blanco, putting him on the inside there. Nice move from Morgan Thompson, putting himself into P3. He's now going to try and chase down Edward Leck, and maybe even more than that.
like Dennis Myers has just had a crash as well. I think he slipped back quite a few positions.
Still behind Benjamin Johnson, a long train of cars.
Someone's just gone wide round there.
Ooh, very close to the wall there. One of the flat-out sim racing Porsches.
I take it they are the track limits is the wall, I assume, on that bend.
Yeah, you can push. Oh, that's a little bit of a slide there from one of the Banzu RX. Low.
I think there was Santobaya. There was Santobaya. Yeah.
It was a good save though.
Just went in too hard into turn 1, but it drops him back to P6 in the AM, while Benjamin Johnson is still leading away with 2 pro drivers behind him. But it's Prado and Secchi on P2 and P3 at the moment. But like I said, it's a long train of cars because Santobaya is still in content for all those positions. and Kieran Smart is the last one following them for P7 in the AMs.
And Tim Rutten just made a move there on Dennis Meisler, or either that or he gained a position either way, so moves himself up into P12 of the amateur class after an early spin.
So Andreas Fernandez puts in yet another fastest lap, a 156.8. 2 seconds nearly quicker than the next person. That's mad.
Miles Owens made a mistake in the middle sector of the track, which puts him now 1.5 seconds behind Chris Needham, but he's got Santabaya right up his bumper with Kieran Smart following as well. That was a good save. Anyways, yeah, that unfortunately creates a little gap though, but you never know. Maybe he has the pace to claw that gap down back to say 2-3 tenths to Chris Needham. Make it that nice long train again. In the meantime, the two Blanco drivers, Tony and Augustin Vera Blanco, are battling it out for P4, while Fernandez just sets the fastest lap time.
Again.
We touched the wall there. He did touch the wall there, Tony Blanco. I think it's Tony Blanco. No, Augustin Vera Blanco, sorry.
I think it was a minor touch though. I don't think that he's gonna suffer from it.
A rub.
But that shows he's driving on the limit. But it all plays in the hands of Morgan Thompson as well, who closed the gap down to Edward Leck for just under half a second, and he has that pretty much 3-second gap now to Augustin Vera Blanco. So let's see if both drivers can work together and see if they are able to close the gap down to Fernandez just a little bit, although it's pretty much 7 seconds already.
So looking for tonight's race, we're coming up to 10 minutes now. They're going to have roughly 5 laps done. So pit window, I'm guessing, is going to be late 20s again, I think, isn't it?
It probably is. In the meantime, I'm looking at a great battle between Tim Rutten and René Bosche, two Dutchmen for P13 in the AMs, but they're having a lovely fight, and they are followed by another Dutchman, Yuri Pepijn-Evers. So it's 3 Dutchies all together, and it's now Yuri Pepijn-Evers on the inside of Tim Rutten. He's going to go for that inside move, gets it done. Tim Rutten now breaks himself just a little bit, and Yuri Pepijn-Evers puts himself in P14.
So in the meantime, lap 6. Andreas Fernandez puts another quickest lap in. So he's obviously got pace, probably helps with a clear track as well. He's down to a 156.54. Currently our leading amateur, Ben Johnson. He's in 6th overall. So he's doing well. He's hanging up with the fast guys. And we've got a little gap of 4 seconds to his nearest rival in the amateurs, who's Pablo Prado, with Dennis essentially in hot pursuit behind him.
There's the shove for his troubles, and yeah, there is a big crash between Rutten and Evers. Evers gone straight back to the pit, so that's going to be a tow for him. Not good.
So if you do that and you go straight to the pit, then does it take into account how far you are around as a tow penalty? Does it?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly that. Yep.
It could be sitting there for a couple of minutes because it was near the start of the lap, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one though, but it should be that what Phil said or what yourself said, it's all on track position. Race control is busy tonight. I see 2 black flag penalties have been thrown to 2 drivers already for causing collisions or avoidable collisions. So they're having a busy night, but I mean, that's why they are there.
So Sweat Cam on board with Duncan Kirby, who's currently racing in.
I could swear his shirt was white before the race started, and it looks grey now. So I mean,
it'll be very grey by the end of it. So Duncan Kirby's down in 15th. He's actually gained 5 places from his pole setting time. So working hard, having a bit of a workout by the looks of it on that wheel. Chris Needham obviously on the right there. He looks a bit cooler. Has he got AC or something?
He must have.
No. Looks very relaxed.
It looks as cool as I feel right now, so he must have the AC on, I guess.
and I must say, I think it's quite impressive that Benjamin Johnson is still able to be driving there with P6, P7 in the pros, although he dropped back to P7 overall just now. Duncan Kirby indeed still battling with Suazo for P8 in the pros. But behind Daniel Setchley, we still have a great 3-4 car battle between Daniel Setchley, Miles Owens, Kieran Smart, and Juan Santabaya. If I'm correct. And Phil, the gap showing from Prado to Johnson, the 4-second lead. That is to Benjamin Johnson, right?
Yes, yeah, that is to Benjamin Johnson. Yeah, the interval is to their actual class leader.
Exactly.
Yep.
So we see both of the Blanco drivers putting in their fastest lap of the race. Their personal fastest lap, though. The fastest lap of the race is still in the name of Fernandez, who just seems to be pulling away. He's still doing mid-56s. Created a gap of 8.2 seconds to Edward Lack, who's still fighting for position with Morgan Thompson. Here we have a little look to the Ford GT and the BMW M8 with those lovely wheels, as Phil thinks.
The subtle
nothing.
wheels.
There, I think Duncan Kirby was thinking about maybe a late move on the inside there of Suazo. You could see the car move a little bit on the braking, but he's still behind. But he's definitely putting the pressure on, swerving from left to right, trying to force him making that mistake. Seems to be able to put that pressure on a little bit, though. But it's still Suazo in front of Duncan Kirby. But again, it's you can see on the movement of the cars how bumpy the track actually is.
I never knew that line. You could take that corner there really, really off the track line.
Yeah, you can.
A bit naughty, isn't it?
No.
That's
No,
that's
it's not.
The flow of the
It's
track.
fine as long as you don't get a slow down.
It's the flow of the track. If you don't get an iRacing off-track penalty, then that's the line you can take.
Yeah.
In the meantime, it was Fernandez putting in a 156.2. So he's over half a second to a second quicker than Edward Lack and Morgan Thompson. While in the meantime, Morgan Thompson has passed Edward Lack for P2 in the pros, and it's Benjamin Johnson putting in the fastest AM lap time with a 158.1.
Just goes for the inside line at turn 1. Gets that move. Yeah, gets that move done.
Let's see if Morgan has the pace to maybe chase down Fernandez, although the gap is quite big though, and Edward Lack may be able to follow him around.
Like he's just catching a back marker as well, which I believe would be Matt Acton, because it's one of the flat-out Sim Sports drivers.
It is. Duncan Kirby still behind Suazo though, about 2/10. And it's Ramos Benitez, who's currently in P6, who's under a second behind, I think that's Augustin Verablanco in P5. He seems to be having quite a decent race as well. So that's good to see. Good to see from Benitez.
See where Juan Santabaya is at the moment. Currently sat down in P6 in the amateur class. Still going to gain a decent haul of points. The current AM Championship leader. Edward Lack is just just slightly slipping off the back of Morgan Thompson, so just half a second separating them. I mean, half a second is absolutely nothing in iRacing really, or in any racing to be honest. Miles Owens might be looking to make a move there as well on Daniel Sedgley, although they are teammates, so they could have some team orders. Maybe a multi-21 situation going on at some point. Actually, is Dan Sedgley actually ahead on points in the amateur championship stats man?
Matt Acton, did you say? Sorry.
No, Dan Sedgley.
Dan Sedgley. He's currently tied third with Matt Acton on 79 points, with Kieran Smart 10 points ahead. So
right, and Matt Acton is dropped down to 16th in the AM. So
Smart is one position ahead of Sedgley, so he's going to take what is he? Third and fourth. He's going to take 2 points. So he's actually going to increase by 2 points. I was looking actually at Santabaya and Kieran Smart, but believe it or not, I think at the time when I looked, Kieran Smart is only actually going to gain 3 points on Santabaya based on current positions. So he's got a very comfortable lead still ahead. So if it stays as it is, there's no real big loss with 1 round less played, or 1 round less to go, should I say. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's early days yet. We're still not halfway through yet, but we'll keep an eye. Ben Johnson's doing really well. Like I said, I did name him as the man in form in the last couple of races. Currently living up to the bill of expectation in the amateurs.
Hopefully that didn't just give him the commentator's curse.
Well, we've got to liven it up, haven't we?
it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Actually, I think in fairness, it's normally you, Rupert. So I'm waiting for Paul.
Normally it is. I'm just not saying those things anymore.
But Fernandez, though, might worth be noting, really. What they've done now, 10 laps complete, and he's nearly 11 seconds. Well, he's over 11 seconds ahead. But he's pacing at over a second a lap, which is some doing.
Jason Huddington go for a move at sunset on Jonas Gillis. Gets that move done, and also Dennis Meisner gets that move done as well. Gillis just slightly went a little bit left there at sunset. He's gonna pit, he's gonna box. He's gonna be our first pit stop.
I assume that's the very beginning of the window.
I would imagine it was.
It is. It definitely is. Taking a look at Fernandez's lap times, he did pretty much only 56s apart from the opening lap, lap 2, and lap 6, where he did a 57.1. But apart from that, he seems to be like, second quicker per lap than Morgan Thompson and Edward Lack. Yeah. Edward's still 3/10 behind Morgan Thompson. So, I mean, the battle for P2 is still going on.
There was an incident there, but it looks like everybody has survived.
I think that was Miles Owens and Santabaya.
Yeah, I believe so. It looks like Duncan Kirby's just lost out a place to Chris Needham. Different championships, but Chris has got some nice pace, although he is back in P7 currently in the amateur class. Didn't he start in P3? I believe he started in P3. Yeah, he did. Or P2 actually, I think it was. So we got Ed Lack is in the pits, Tony Blanco is in the pits.
And it's currently Santabaya coming into the pit as well.
Maybe just thinks he took a little bit of damage on that little bit of contact there with Miles Owen, so maybe just going to take the fast repair just to make sure, 'cause since it's now in the window.
I must say I don't see any damage on his car, but you never know. Maybe his steering was a little bit off. Could be, but didn't see any damage. Maybe because of the loss of position, she's thinking like, well, let's just pit early. See if I can adjust my strategy a little bit. Put in some quicker lap times without any traffic in front, because he was following those other cars, of course. And yeah, being in a quicker car doesn't always mean that you overtake that easily as well. But he is currently out on track
Ferrari
again.
there I just saw in the background. He's the only one I've seen today, isn't it? Have you only got one Fezzer on the track? Start competition.
I think there are...
No, only one today. Yes, the other one was the mighty Dane, who isn't here tonight but is watching. Saw him post something before.
We need to do a Ferrari only race, I think. Is there a fixed series for Ferrari somewhere?
There used to be, yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I recall there used to be a fixed race for that. But let us know in the comments.
Well, it's Duncan Kirby going for the inside move on Caballero there for, well, is it for pro position? I think it is.
It is for a pro position. These two are both pro drivers.
Caballero kept it on the inside line there, so Duncan Kirby needs to tuck in right behind him. So, not really a position change there, just briefly. But some good racing there.
So I was going to say in the comments, put in what you'd like to see race-wise. We may consider options. Obviously, we haven't decided on anything yet, but always interesting to gauge opinion. Obviously, you got the new GT4 BMW. Where I think was it the last series we had the GT4s?
We did do a GT4 series, but that was only the Porsches at the time because there wasn't a BMW, so it was a little bit.
Was that the last series? I'm trying to remember now.
Yeah, that was the series before this one.
So obviously GT is always a popular choice. 4th time in total. Just trying to think what the other ones are. We've done a couple of Mazdas, haven't we? We've done 3 seasons of Mazdas, I think. Ooh, someone's going pretty slow there. Who's that?
That was Rennie Boschke just letting the two CXR drivers come through because he obviously has noticed they're in a battle. I'm going to get in the way. Tony Blanco is actually just behind as well, so he probably will be letting him through as well on the next corner, which he does.
Oh, Kieran being controversial there. Starting the separate races debate.
LMP1 and F1. I think that's a typical American response there from y'all.
Yeah, we'll have to look into logistics of. Personally, from a personal point of view, I'd love to see a multi-class race, but it's just finding the right balance of cars, really, isn't it? As well.
So I'm just thinking. Juan Santabaya has pitted early, and he's currently in P5, close behind Daniel Setchley.
Well, according to my screens, they've all pitted, so interesting to see how this pans out.
Yeah, Benjamin Johnson is still leading the way in the AMs, about 4 seconds in front of Prado. In 3rd place, Kieran Smart, and then we've got Daniel Setchley and Santabaya following really close. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if Santabaya will be able to put on the fight and take the position from Daniel Setchley.
So, please no swearing, Joe Blaster. NASCAR, really? Dear Lord. I seem to be having... I'm having some technical issues.
Mr. Statsman,
Yes.
Benjamin Johnson, did he win a race?
He did. You paid attention. He's had a first and a second in round 4 and 5, making him the most informed driver in the last 2 rounds, which I might have mentioned, with obviously Santa Baia winning last week. So, yeah, Ben Johnson on track, no pun intended, for his second win. So we'll see how that pans out. Unfortunately, I think he's a little bit too fast. He had a very poor start. I remember in qualifying, was it the first race or the second race? And he had a bit of a mare, didn't he? And finished quite poorly. In round 3, I don't think he raced. Then followed up in round 4 with a win and a very good second place last week. But yeah, I think he's left himself a little bit too much to even sneak a podium, dare I say. But we'll see how it pans out.
In the meantime, we saw Duncan Kirby in position, fighting with Miles Owens, although it's not for class position. But he's still close, and it's Edward Leck still putting pressure on Morgan Thompson as well.
He is possibly going to get a better run. He's going to get a better run going down into turn 2. He's on his inside.
So great job there by Edward Leck. But it's still Morgan Thompson leading away, just having a better run coming out of turn 2. So nothing gained in the end. But the gap is still under half a second. So Edward Leck will be bringing the fight again, as we got about 16, 17 minutes left of racing to go. And Ramos Benitez in the meantime still about half a second behind Agustin Vera Blanco. Miles Owens going a little bit deep into the hairpin.
Big lock up there on the inside. He's actually lost the position now to Chris Needham. The battle with Duncan Kirby wasn't really in his category, so
no
points won or lost there.
Now Duncan Kirby has to seem to find his way through with 2.1 seconds being behind Caballero. So let's see if he will be able to close that gap down a little bit and make himself 5 for P9 in the pros. Here we are on board with Benitez driving behind Agustin Vera Blanco. But it's been going on for quite a few laps now, so
yeah, some of these battles have been going constantly from start to finish, which is good to see. I also enjoy it. It doesn't matter whether you start in P or finish in P20, as long as you've had a good battle, you feel like you've had a great race. So yeah, sometimes it can happen that way.
We also see a battle between Daniel Merchant and Dennis Meisner.
Meisner's just got the move done. Oh, I don't think he has. He's hit the wall. That is a big mistake there by Dennis Meisner.
That's that last corner, isn't it?
Gonna have to box. Although he's not boxing.
Goes, right on cue.
He's not boxing.
No, he's staying out.
In. Ow, ow, ow.
Oh, Lord.
That's quite remarkable. Quite interesting to know why he made the decision to stay out in the end, though.
Maybe he thought he was meatballed.
Meatballed? What does that mean?
As in,
proper black flag with an orange meatball on it, meaning that the damage is so severe you can't drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be, but then in the end, yeah. We'll see how he will be going around the track. He only lost 1 position to Daniel Merchant. He is still in P10, but Jonas Gillis is only 1.6 seconds behind him. So let's see how that's gonna change. Looking at the timings, it's dropping down quite hard though. So I do really think that he's suffering from the damage that he's just got taken from the outside wall there. Yeah, looking from some onboard action, I'm seeing a steering angle which looks pretty familiar from the 24-hour race we did.
Oh, one of the RWC guys just accidentally pitted. I think that is Chris Needham. Just locks the back end and slid into the pits, which is definitely not something you want. I guess he's just going to drive straight through.
Yeah, it seemed that he even had to back out a little bit, so I'm not quite sure if he hit the wall there. Don't think he did, looking at the front of his car, but...
So he has boxed. Didn't need to box, he could have just driven straight through.
Like Jay Blas's definition of being meatballed. Is that like throwing tomatoes in a fit of rage because of your incompetence on the track or something, is it? Because I imagine that's how mine would react half the time. Still, at least be earning their wages. For those of you interested in the football, Liverpool are now 3-0 up with a scorcher of a third go by Fabinho.
How are you watching that? I'm watching this.
I'm not. I've got it popping up in the window.
Ah.
No, I'm not that talented, Phil. I'm not a woman. I can't multitask. You know that.
After 34 minutes of racing, it's still Fernandez leading the way now, 20 seconds in front of Morgan Thompson and Edward Leck. But it seems like Tony Blanco is putting himself in the mix as well. He's just only second away from Edward Leck. Morgan Thompson just did a 158.0 and Edward Leck 157.8. Blanco 157.9. So now it seems like Morgan Thompson maybe is struggling a little bit. So looking at how it is, it's Edward Leck who probably wants to try and overtake Morgan as soon as possible. In the meantime, I see Dennis Meissner just has spun the car again.
Ooh, that was
probably just because of the...
there was contact. I'm not sure which way it went.
I'm assuming he's not amused. He might have felt there was, but again, our colleagues in race control, I think Ruben said they're having a busy evening. No doubt will get looked at.
See if I can just rewind a bit. Just on the inside, there's a bit of
bit of rubbing by the looks of it, isn't
yeah,
it?
I mean, you realistically, one of you should be on the other side of the track there.
That's a funny corner now. I've seen that several times today. Some take it quite tight, don't they? Others take quite a wide line and pull in sharp. So
looking at though is Duncan Kirby the one?
The big gainer.
The big gainer.
He's
with his eyes wide open.
Oh, yes.
Because he had to drive through those two cars on the out and inside of the track. Well, yeah, that's one that definitely will be looked into by race control, that's for sure. And it's Dennis Meissner currently into the pit, so he decided with the damage he has, yeah, it's not gonna work.
So less than a third of the race to go. Currently, Andres Fernandez charging away, 20-second lead. Nearly, what's it? I'm just having a look. Is he not quite a quarter of the way ahead of Morgan Thompson around the track? With Edward Leck in third, who is actually quite close. He's 3 tenths behind Morgan Thompson.
And
So let's see some
Santabaya is
English
actually
guys breaking the stranglehold of the Spanish that we've seen dominate.
Santabaya's just got past Daniel Sedgley, moves himself up into P3 in the amateur class. Little bit of a way to go till he gets to anywhere near Prado, who's got a nice 7.7 second gap. Where's Kieran Smart? Currently sat down in P5.
Yeah, Kieran Smart was ahead of Santabaya, wasn't he?
He was.
Lost in translation there somewhere. Yeah, it's looks like Wayne obviously picked up on the same thing as me there. So
Well, let's have a little look right now, because the last lap of Kieran Smart was a 2:10.6. So obviously he had some sort of an issue somewhere. Trying to see if I can find it. iRacing wants me to. I think it doesn't. So unfortunately I can't really tell what happened there, but looking at his lap time, he definitely had an issue. And he's now, although he's an AM driver, he's now putting the pressure on Caballero, trying to get that overtake done.
Well, apparently, officially, unofficially, Kieran Smart crashed on lap 18. So that could also mean he's ran wide somewhere, which will explain his lap time that you've just said. So
yeah.
You can have a trundle if you like in iRacing around lap 18 and see what happens, and enlighten us if you feel so enamoured too.
In the meantime, it's Edward Leck now, about 2/10 behind Morgan Thompson. Oh, and it's just still, it's between that 1 and 3/10 pretty much all the way through, apart from the little move we saw Edward trying to do there in turn 1 and going into turn 2, but it was Morgan who in the end had the better drive and stayed in front of Edward Leck for P2 and overall. And as well, it's still Benitez in P6, just under a second behind Agustin Vera Blanco. We also got a nice little battle going on for P9 in the AMs between Jonas Gillis and Jason Headington. Well, it's quite impressive from Santabaya though, because of the little thing he had when he was in that group of cars. He dropped quite some positions. I think he was in P8 or P9 even. For now being in P3, that's quite good. And he pitted early as well. So if it's going to be too early, that's a good question. Gonna have to wait and see. Then we see the current fastest lap time. So Fernandez for the pros with a 1:56.2 and an overall fastest lap. And for the AMs is Benjamin Johnson, who's still leading the way with a 1:57.9.
Ooh. Off track there. That was Tony Blanco, so he's just lost a place to Ramos Benitez and also Vera Blanco as well. So considering he was right on the back of Morgan Thompson and Ed Lack, still having a decent scrap all the way to the end of this, hopefully.
Yeah, it is a good battle. It's Edward Lack really trying to drive other lines than Morgan Thompson, making sure that he has to take a defensive line, and therefore compromising his speed. But then again, it's Morgan who's still able to stay in front though. But it's a nice battle to look at. In the meantime, it's also Adam Southgate being in P7, so he's having a pretty decent race as well. Duncan Kirby, yeah, of course, due to the incident in turn 1, is currently in P8 for the pros. And yeah, we've got the 4 AM drivers, Johnson, Prado, Santabaya and Sedgley in between.
Yeah, so let's have a look at our AM leader. Let's see how far the gap is. I mean, the gap isn't actually all that big between Ben Johnson and Pablo Prado. That's just a slight mistake at one corner, and Pablo would be right on the back again.
Yep.
And then he's got Juan Manuel Santabaya not too far behind as well. And then followed by Daniel Sedgley, Duncan Kirby, Jose Caballero, Kevin Smart.
So I reckon we're gonna have about 2 laps.
Yeah, I would guess so. Let's see
Yeah,
where
this
Fernandez is. So Fernandez has just been driving around by himself, I think.
He's halfway round roughly, so he's got, let's say, assume another minute, and that will take us down to 44. So I think it'll be this plus 1 other lap, and we're done. It'll be tight. You know, if I was him, he has got the luxury of 22 seconds. He doesn't need to make it go further than he needs to if he's there or thereabouts. Could well question some of the fueling on board from the early laps if he does go another lap. So, isn't it done before when that's happened? Especially if they're using the mighty crew chief. It's good to see Edward Lack still keeping pressure on Morgan Thompson 4 temps behind in between second and third at the moment.
Yeah, coming into the hairpin, turn 6 if I'm correct, he was put on the outside by Morgan, who really did a great job of keeping him there so he wouldn't be able to do anything. He dropped a little bit back to about 6-7 tenths, but he claws all the time back. He's now right on the tail of Morgan Thompson again, coming onto the main straight, but you can really see Morgan struggling for traction. Coming onto the straight, you will see the back end stepping out a little bit here and there. But Morgan doing a great job defending his position. It's just on Edward Lack to try and find that weakness. Although Edward Lack now goes pretty wide into turn 1. Makes him lose a little bit of time to Morgan Thompson again. Well, in this case the Ford does seem to be a little bit more stable than the BMW M8. But the BMW M8 also has quite a good engine in front of the car. And Tony Blanco, who was in P4, closed the gap down to Ramos Benitez. So, and that's exactly that mistake that you mentioned, Phil, for the gap between Benjamin Johnson and Prado. He just went a little bit too deep into turn 2, caught on the grass, and just lost easily about 4 seconds.
So easily done on a track like this, because it's so bumpy. The curbs are actually quite raised as well, so some of the curbs you can hit, and yeah, it can really unsettle the car, especially if it's in a bumpy section as well. So very easily done.
Yeah.
So Andres Fernandez is literally coming up to the line, so it will be the last lap he's currently on.
There it is. Yeah, he's flashing his lights, coming across the line. I'll have to go back on board with Morgan Thompson and Edward Lack as they fight out to the last corner at sunset.
They will fight it out. It will all come down to, will they keep the traction? Will one of them spin? But no, they won't. Morgan Thompson did a great job defending second place there for Edward Lack. So congratulations to Morgan Thompson finishing in P2 and Edward Lack in P3. And then it's waiting for Tony and Augusta Vera Blanco and Ramos Benitez.
Agustin getting 4th and Tony getting 5th there.
There's
Adam Southgate coming around the last turn.
And there's our amateur winner, Ben Johnson, crossing the line in P1. Pablo Prado just crossing the line now in P2. And Santabaya crossing the line in P3. So a good recovery drive there from Santabaya, actually.
Definitely.
Gaining 7 places. Daniel Sedgley actually gains 22 places in the race. Overall, that is. Miles Owens crosses the line. Ben Charlton coming round now at Sunset. A little bouncy as he comes around in that Porsche.
Bouncy. Just to quickly answer Damo's question, no, I don't think there's a battle for P10 because they were lapped by the time Fernandez crossed the line, so technically they have finished.
Although they were quite close, though, in all fairness, Jason Haddington and Jonas Gillis. So I think Jonas Gillis will enjoy this race as well, to be honest. Being in P10, so well done to him.
Jason Haddington giving us a nice flash at the lights as he comes home in P9 in class. Then I think we still have Rene Borschke out on track. No, he can't. He's already. He's already.
Yeah, his show's finished.
Yeah, he has already crossed the line. So there we go. We go to GT Pro results now for everybody.
So, no surprise winner tonight, Andres Fernandez with a dominating race. Now our new leader in the Pro class. Crossing, and then Morgan Thompson taking second, keeping his nose ahead of Edward Lack in third. Augustin Blanco a fourth, Tony Blanco fifth. Ramos Benitez in sixth, Adam Southgate in seventh, Duncan Kirby eighth, Jose Caballero in ninth, Marco Suazo 10th, Jamie Fierro in 11th, Hele Holland in 12th.
Then we're gonna wait for the AM results, and there we've got them on screen. It's Benjamin Johnson for Venom Works who won the race in the AMs with P2 for Pablo Prado, P3 Juan Santabaya, P4 Daniel Setchley, P5 Kieran Smart, P6 Miles Owens, P7 Ben Charlton, P8 Daniel Merchant, P9 Jason Haddington, P10 Jonas Gillis, P11 Chris Needham, P12 Matthew Hodges, P13 Matt Acton, P14 René Borschke, P15 Dennis Meisner, P16 Tim Rutte and P17 Yuri Pepijn-Evers. So next week.
Monza is coming up for round 7. Thank you for the follows there. Three new follows. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, no, just name them.
No, I can't read any names that are all like that, so I will leave that down to you.
There's no, well, there is ours at the end, so far away.
Let's have a look at the rest of the schedule. Yeah, so Monza next week, and then Daytona Road Course, the night race, the final race of the season. That one should be a good one. Hopefully most people took part in the Daytona 24 hours back in February. Was it February or January? It's right at the very start of the year, so very popular 24 hours, obviously with the Le Mans 24 hours that just went past this weekend. I know a couple of the drivers in here all took part, myself included, Ruben included. So yeah, it was good to see a lot of people that we know on track, not in our split, but we happened to do the American time zone split, which is good because it meant waking up to know that already 7 hours of the race had already gone by and I was fast asleep. So yeah, it was nice. It was actually nice to just do a different kind of split where you didn't have to worry about what was going to happen into Sunday. I got a lie-in on Sunday, which was beautiful. Yeah, so Monza next week. We'll be back on Wednesday at 8:15, the normal time, for qualifying to start at 20 past, and then the race will start at 9:15 if you are in the UK, or 9:45 if you are in Europe. Cheers everyone for the follows, cheers for the subscriptions, cheers to the guys in race control, cheers to Ruben and Mark for commentating, and cheers to everybody for watching and driving as well. We'll catch you next week, guys. Thank you.
Cheers to you, Phil.
Take care.
See you next time.
See you later.
Bye bye.